Yes, the infamous debate on which anime is better and why. You know, those pointless anime Twitter debates. I'm gonna break down which of these anime is inherently better than the other, but don't be surprised to find it's a bit deeper than just, well, this one's obviously better. About 3 weeks ago, I should have had this video out, but with the stress of finals and having to pack up and go home for the summer, on top of recurrent health issues, this video got quite delayed. Any further updates on health-related things will be posted in the community updates. If you stick around to the end, that's where I'll talk a bit more about content plans and other channel-related stuff. So, without any further ado, let's compare and contrast Citrus versus Bloom Into You. What I'm going to do here is talk about each anime for a minute or two and go over some of the main things about each. For example, and we'll start with Citrus. Citrus is very colorful and harks on recurrent love tropes that most romance anime fall into the trap of. For instance, Yuzu constantly wonders if she's good enough for Mei or runs away from her problems. Literally every main character does this, and it's passed off as character development, which isn't wrong, but not everyone is going to react to the same kinds of situations the same way. I'm hitting the anime's bad points too early, so let's switch gears and I'll explain what Citrus has going for it. The first thing is literally the most obvious, and that's that this is a Yuri anime. Girls love. Something as colorful and flashed out as this anime is hard to come by, and when we do get them, they're one-offs. Sure, you can argue that the manga or original source material are still there for those who want to pick up where the anime left off. But I'm specifically talking about the anime here, not the source material. The Citrus has some unique aspects, though, and they arguably help make it as popular as it is, for a Yuri anime. Bright and positive personalities, teenage-like carefree attitudes, and even the dramatic moments that come with it. Heart-pounding, focused on one thing. It's the pinnacle of Yuri anime. Not because it's good, per se, but because it fits a mold that people like. Look at Yuzu. She's the epitome of a girly girl. The hair, the clothes, makeup, etc. But there's a bit more to her than just her phenotypic traits. Yuzu isn't what I'm here to talk about, so this will be brief, but she's the kind of character that doesn't give up on what she's fighting for. Yeah, she ends up facing multiple setbacks, but each time she does, she comes out stronger with more conviction in her feelings for Mei. It's totally understandable too, because this is a very hormonal period for teenagers. So it only exacerbates her own uncertainty in her identity and love life. Does she like boys or girls? What are each like? I'll save a future analysis on Yuzu's character for a later video though. So, what else about Citrus? Well, it's actually a pretty traumatic anime, with a lot of moments that make you go, whoa, or shake your head at an interaction because you know a character could have approached the situation better. The fact that the anime can get you to react is a good thing though. That just means it's able to appeal to your emotions and an active level of relatability. Of course, it's not perfect, and some moments were built out just for fan service. But most of it is actually genuine, despite the fast pace. I don't need to say more about it, but if you're interested in hearing more about my thoughts on this anime, positive and negative, then check out these two videos on screen. One will be in the cards in the upper right corner. After a third-ish rewatch, it's terribly obvious that Citrus was trying to do something that broke boundaries, but tried too hard to do so. The story revolves around Yuzu and Mei and how their new familial connection impacts Yuzu's life. Unfortunately, you get whiplashed by Matsure's introduction about midway in, and it's a huge slap in the face, because her entire involvement with Yuzu is based off the fact that she was bored and just so happened to swipe across her picture in her phone. This is the big breakaway the anime has, and what personally made me frown. To make matters worse, she sells explicit videos to men as a source of money, and her views on men are not very pleasant. This is something that the anime didn't really need, because it breaks focus and forces you to learn the supposed close connection to Yuzu. Yet Matsure's romantic feelings towards her just don't feel genuine enough. It's almost as if the story tried too hard to insert a love triangle in only 12 episodes. Not only is the way she makes money a huge issue for a middle school student, middle school isn't exactly what some are used to in the States, keep that in mind. The introduction of her character causes the anime to make a full 90-degree turn and branch off where it shouldn't have. I've read past the end of the anime, in the manga that is, a bit, and the story does pick back up again, but since I'm only focusing on the anime, I have to deduct points. Really, the only other major issue this anime has is all of the kissing. I mean, gosh darn. I understand it's an anime about the love two girls have for each other, but Kami-sama sometimes will just have 2 kiss scenes per 24-minute episode, and it makes you want to turn the TV off sometimes. Maybe most other fans of the genre like that kind of thing, but what the anime focuses on and where the story actually goes are 2 totally different things. Yuzu's relationship with Mei and how her addition to the Aihara family upsets the balance they had is what's important. So, how does Bloom Into You address these problems, and how does it stack up to Citrus in terms of related themes and tropes? Well, let's start with the art styles. Citrus is bright and emphasizes color and femininity in its art animation. Bloom Into You is much more subtle, and instead of putting the budget into the background, it goes to the actual characters themselves. Whereas Citrus has that Makoto Shinkai-like aesthetic to it, Bloom Into You uses these kinds of scenes sparingly and only in important moments, such as when you and Toko are together, emphasizing the importance of the moment. The line work is harsher with Bloom Into You than Citrus, and the overall composition lacks as complex a form. It's almost like it's a grittier texture. What about identity and family? Character growth? Bloom Into You excels in both of these areas, and I'm not gonna lie, I prefer Citrus for its art and complexities as well as its interpersonal relationships between characters. However, I think Bloom Into You does a better job at... well, if I told you now, that would defeat the purpose of this video. Let's move on. Citrus deals with a number of complex themes, yes, but so does Bloom Into You, and arguably more important ones at that. While Yuzu's adventure in discovering her own sexual preferences is important, she subconsciously has her mind made up from the start, hence why she continues to chase after Mei time and time again. While this creates a sense of importance within the anime and Yuzu's own endeavors, her purpose, it's important to note that this same level of poisonous passion can be detrimental to any relationship. Think about how Toko occasionally forces herself on you, whose reaction is anything but accepting of the moves made on her. In some ways, this same trope can be seen in Citrus when Mei makes multiple moves on Yuzu. The difference between how Citrus approaches this and how Bloom Into You approaches this is in personality. Toko understands when to back off, even if it's not immediate, but Mei eggs Yuzu on like it's a game, trying to see how far she'll go before she cracks, and this leads to a good slap from Yuzu. This is called enforcing your boundaries, but it's really the only time it's so prominent. Yu, on the other hand, sets her boundaries right from the start. She's not even sure if she likes girls, and there's still student council duties to take care of as well. Whereas Yu has actual responsibilities, Yuzu does not. If we see Mei from Citrus as Toko from Bloom Into You, that makes Yuzu like Yu, but these roles aren't set in stone, nor does each reflect the respective counterpart, which is why these 2 anime are so alike, but so different. When we consider the role identity has to play in each anime, we start to see some similarities. All 4 main characters, Yuzu and Mei, and Yu and Toko, have their equal counterpart, but Bloom Into You technically has 3 main characters when you consider Sayaka, who we know for a fact likes girls. Things become a little more complicated when we involve her because there's no clear-cut theme she presents. She affirmed her identity long before any of the other aforementioned characters had. But it should be noted that she forms a subtle love triangle between Yu and Toko, who don't really ever see it. This is what sets Bloom Into You apart from Citrus. Its ability to create a complex cast of characters who all have unique identities, while still keeping the focus on Yu and Toko. I know I mentioned family a while back, and truthfully, there isn't much to say to that front. Neither Yu or Yuzu's families play significant roles in either anime, nor do they affect much. There's one scene in Bloom Into You where Yu's sister brushes off the possibility that Toko can end up Yu's girlfriend, but that's really about it. These 2 anime are squarely focused on building a world where the main characters can be themselves and take the time to explore their own identities. No one is forcing them to be something they're not, nor should they. Whereas Citrus feels forced and in your face at times, it doesn't try to force boundaries or set unrealistic standards. Something I mentioned in my Bloom Into You video last month. There are some excessive kissing and intimate moments that seem to come out of nowhere, time that could perhaps be better spent focusing more on the impact Mei has on Yuzu's life and the distance between each side of the family. I don't think this is all bad though. Citrus proves it deserves to be recognized. From the surprise scene at the end of episode 1 and another just an episode or 2 later, It proves it's passionate about what it's trying to show us. There are a lot of great lessons to be learned from Citrus as well though, such as the enforcement of boundaries and trying to be more empathetic towards each other's feelings. Episode 6 alone marks a turning point in May's character, no longer chasing after the ghost of her once disciplined father and instead choosing to finally embark upon a path of her own, something uniquely hers. Just as we all struggle to be the best we can at something, Yuzu displays her struggle to be the best sister she can to May, even if they're only related by law, stepsisters. However, that's all I'm really going to say on Citrus, as I'll have a more analytically written video on it later, an updated version of last spring's 2 videos. So where and how does Bloom and You stack up? There are arguably fewer, deeper lessons to take away from this one compared to Citrus, as it's a slower, more methodical story. Bloom and You isn't about being the stereotypical girls' love anime that many cult fans expect it to be. Instead, it tackles the day-to-day life of a couple high school girls who are just beginning to discover themselves in a world that has only recently come around to the idea of same-sex relationships. There's also a deeper reasoning behind Toko's feelings towards You. In some ways, she feels trapped, trying to rise up to be as great as her sister and attempt to fill her shoes. We see this in May and Citrus, trying to chase after a past version of her father that no longer exists and fill his shoes. So, again, we find another parallel between characters in 2 very different works of media. Where Citrus attempts to scramble what is only the surface of its story together in 12 episodes, Bloom and You says, I can do that too, but I'm okay with not finishing the story. Both anime have more to adapt, and both fall short of glory, but I find Bloom and You to be the better Yuri because of its slower approach. I prefer Citrus due to its more vibrant color palette and deeper themes. But Bloom and You's approach makes more sense and doesn't throw multiple curveballs at you by introducing characters that, truthfully, don't really need to be introduced if you're going to do it halfway through a 12 or 13 episode anime. Especially not if they're going to undergo major character dynamics in just a few episodes and then lose the significance of their introduction as a whole. Both anime have their positives and negatives, but Bloom and You just doesn't have as many obvious issues, hence why you didn't hear me talk about many. Aside from all that, they're both great anime in their own rights and deserve to be treated as such. Don't watch anime just to numb out. Watch it because there's a deeper meaning that's waiting to present itself. Anime does what IRL media and TV cannot. It can tell an actual story without having to worry about authenticity between real people. Yes, voice acting does rely on some of that, but let's be real here. Who's tired of the same rehashed TV shows? But that's all I have for the body of this video. Like I said at the start, I wanted to thank you all for the amazing support on the channel this spring. I haven't been at my best, and sometimes it's hard to push these out, on top of everything else that goes on in the week. Shinsekai Yori is up next, but that may not be until the end of the month. I still need to finish my rewatch of It. If you've been following the rise of AI, I have something very interesting that you'll be seeing here next month in regards to that, and a couple anime that have played with the idea of AI as well. Lastly, an update on a summer project I announced some time ago. The only hint I can give you is that it will be something virtual and requires some rigging. And with that, I bid you all farewell. Keep on those finals and have a great summer, everyone. Let's make this one better than last year's. Not only AI, but also human. It's this very thing that, on a thematic level, gives Vivy, Fluorite, Ice Song a strong chance at anime of the... There's a scene where, in the first episode, where Shu is talking about inviting girls to the director's single party and he goes, "We should really try to invite some nice ones. No mean as